Everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bat Around. I'm your host, Paul Valley. Joining me, as always, is Zach Moore from Pigtown Sports. Zach, good evening. How are you today?
Great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing a lot better. You said that the Orioles needed to win 4 out of 6 this week on the homestand to make you feel a little bit better about things. That's exactly what they did, losing 2 or 3 to the Astros, but then to the Astros. Wow, I was just doing notes on other scores, losing 2 of 3 to the Cardinals, but then coming through with the 3-game sweep of the lowly Chicago White Sox. Before we get into all that and more, Zach, I want to remind everybody tuning in right now that today's show is brought to you by the Live Casino and Hotel. The NBA Finals get underway Thursday night, and there's no better way to watch the finals than to hang out inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel. Glenn Clark and the crew will be hanging out with you, hooking you up with great prizes during timeouts like baseball tickets and free rounds of golf. Plus, there's the delicious food, spectacular game day specials, and there's just no better way to watch than the 100-foot media wall. So join us for the final starting Thursday night at Sports and Social inside Live Casino and Hotel. Zach, Charlie Morton, you noticed it back in April that he was not hiding the curveball like he normally does. It seems like Orioles coaches finally figured that out. They changed up the delivery a little bit, and Morton has gone 22 innings, pitching to a sub-3 ERA his last 4 outings. He goes 6 2/3 innings of 1 unearned run ball today to lead the Orioles to the 3-game sweep over the Chicago White Sox. What have you been seeing from Charlie Morton aside from that delivery that he has seemingly fixed? He looks like the dude that they gave $15 million to in the offseason.
He's pitching well, and he's throwing with confidence right now, and he's throwing all his pitches with confidence. Yeah, it's not just the curveball that's working right now. Even the fastball. I mean, Jim Palmer showed it, with the graphic earlier during today's game. I mean, just all of his pitches, all the averages and all have completely plummeted, except for the cutter. I mean, Charlie's never really thrown a cutter as an out pitch, so whatever. But just it's been interesting. And I pulled some stats earlier, and this might just be sheer coincidence. That Hanley has caught the last 4 outings that he's done that well in. So it's got to be sheer coincidence. I just feel like the cards have landed on Hanley to start those couple games. But the difference was Charlie threw 30.2 innings to Adley and Sanchez and gave up 31 earned runs to a 9.24 ERA with 38 hits, 7 home runs, and a 308 batting average. Now, with Maverick Hanley, he's gone 22.1 innings, just like you said, 6 earned runs to a 2.67 ERA, only 20 hits, 3 home runs, and teams are hitting 232 against him. Actually, I lied. 227, because I jumped the gun on this before he got those final 2 outs in the 7th inning today. But 227. So again, it could be sheer coincidence that Maverick has been in there those last 4 outings, or maybe Charlie likes Maverick. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, right? Charlie Morton, he's a savvy vet. He's pitched in some really big games in his career. It didn't look like he was going to figure it out this year. It just didn't. The way that he was pitching those first 9 or 10 outings, he looked absolutely awful. And then he figures it out, turns things around, start with some solid outings out of the bullpen. He made a spot start for him. And I think he went like 5 innings, a 2-run ball, something like that. Looked really, really good. And they came out today, and I was after my baseball game today, I was telling some of the guys on my team, Morton's going 7 innings, a 1-run ball today. He went 6 2/3 innings, one unearned run. Jackson Holiday just had a pretty tough defensive 7th inning there.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, but they ended up winning that ball game 3-2. Orioles take the series, winning all 3 games against the White Sox. I believe the final scores were 2-1, 4-1, and 3-2. Or 4-2, excuse me, was the score yesterday. Here's what I want to ask you. Winning is obviously better than losing. The Orioles, they've won 4 of 6 on the homestand. They've won 6 of 8 overall. They're playing arguably their best baseball right now, which is not difficult to do when you consider how badly and how poorly they were playing the first 8-9 weeks of the season. and it's the White Sox. They sweep the White Sox, and it's hard to sweep any team in baseball. Even the Rockies don't get swept every series. So do you feel good about this? It's not that they swept them; it's the fact that they swept them and they scored 9 runs in this series, and it was a couple of 1-run ball games and a 2-run ball game. Do you feel good about it? Are we taking baby steps here, or is it like, nah, they still got a lot to show me before I start buying it?
Look, anytime you can win 3 games in the major leagues, especially 3 games in a row, you hang your hat on that, and it's something you can build off of. Do you want to obviously score more runs? Sure. The White Sox, they seemed like they were doing okay. I mean, they're not the greatest team in the world. Their lineup isn't amazing. Their pitching it's not god awful, and they're still major leaguers. The Orioles are kind of going through it. They're fighting through it. So to be able to come out and win 3 games, you take it. I don't care who it's against. I don't care if they allowed Norfolk Tides to come up and play for 3 games. They're on the major league schedule, and you got to win your games on the schedule. They could have easily dropped one of these games today, or not today, but during the series, being close games. So it was good that the bullpen was tested. The lineup was kind of tested to score when they needed to. They manufactured a couple runs, and then they played some pretty decent defense. I mean, we seen some plays that could have went either way. But look, they were hard fought wins. They tested the back end of your bullpen, which came out and performed pretty good. I think you are happy with that, and you go into Seattle and you take that momentum with you.
Well, and so what are you expecting going into Seattle? You got to face George Kirby, and he's 0-2 with an 11.43 ERA, but George Kirby's a damn good pitcher. They've got Hancock the second game of the series, and then they've got to face Brian Wu, he's got to be a Cy Young candidate year in and year out.
Yeah.
Your expectations, and Seattle's scoring runs. Ever since Edgar Martinez came back to that organization late last summer, they've been putting runs up in bunches.
Mm-hmm.
Do the Orioles have to win the series, or do they just have to play competitive ball and be in every game and win one of them out in Seattle, and then try and take 2 or 3 or all 3 from the Athletics for you to feel like maybe they're turning a corner?
I think you go out there and you try to win the series. Obviously they're going to try, but you go out there and make a statement. And when in Seattle and in Sacramento, whatever you want to call these guys, and you do the same thing you just did here with St. Louis and Chicago. You go 4-2, you're going to start turning in some heads the way this team thought it was supposed to play this year. And I want to circle back on that because I was a little interested because I knew the White Sox were doing okay. They have a 3.8 ERA from their starters in their last 10 games, so they're not terrible, right? They've been pitching well, and they stiffed us a little bit. But you know what? That's baseball sometimes. But yeah, back to Seattle. I mean, you're going to face some good competition, and it's so weird that. And it's not just been this year. It's been the past couple of years. The Orioles seem to play well against really good competition. Like those games that you look at on paper, you're like, bet the house on the Orioles losing tonight, and all of a sudden they play well.
Right.
And they could go up against Paul Skeens. Bet the house on Paul Skeens with 20 Ks tonight. Well, Paul's going to somehow finish with 19 Ks, but give up 4 runs somehow. Like that's just what the Orioles do. It's really weird. So I expect them to play well against George Kirby. But look, go out there and take 2 out of 3 in Seattle, which they typically seem to play pretty well in Seattle. They give Seattle a little bit of fit. So, and they're hitting. So that, it's going to be another test for our pitching staff. And they get this bullpen figured out. I keep saying it, and I shouldn't, but I'm going to keep saying it. The Orioles got a shot. They got a shot.
Yeah.
And I'm on record saying I don't care. They just got to fix the bullpen. And you and I talked about it going into the season. There was upgradable arms in that bullpen, and those are the guys that kind of keep blowing the game. So maybe they finally figured it out and go acquire somebody. And Pittsburgh said basically their entire roster is up for sale.
Well, and there you go. And you mentioned a pitcher, last name Santana.
Dennis Santana, yeah.
Dennis Santana, really good this year. He was good for, was it Texas?
Texas, and then I think he had a little bad down year or something, but.
He was bad for Texas last year, and then he went to Pittsburgh in a trade, and he was actually really good for Pittsburgh last year in about 38, 39 games. It would be an interesting arm to see. The Orioles do need a little bit more help in the bullpen. I do think you've got something, at the back end with Baker, Kittredge, and Felix Bautista.
Yeah.
Gregory Soto and Dominguez, sometimes they look really unhittable, and sometimes it's like they're just giving up home runs left and right.
Right.
But CNL Perez cleared waivers, and like all these years they were saying we can't DFA him. Somebody's going to pick him up. He clears waivers, and he's down in Norfolk now.
Right.
Keegan Aiken is kind of doing what Keegan Aiken does. Keegan Aiken will start every year really strong, and then the next thing you know, he's got a 6.7 ERA for the month of June or the month of May, something like that, and then he starts pitching strong again towards the second half of the season. And I never know what to make of him. I don't love this Orioles bullpen. I don't hate it as much as I did before. I think getting Tyler Wells back in the second half, especially if you're still in, I don't know. Yeah. With Bradish and Rodriguez, you expect that the Orioles are going to let them throw some games for them down the stretch. With Wells, I don't know what the plan is. He's supposed to have a shorter timeline than Bradish because he just got the brace put in, not the full-time John surgery. So I don't know really what the plan is there. Suarez, they're hoping he just started throwing off flat ground. They're hoping that he can be back at some point in the second half. But you've got some help coming. You've just got to keep your head above water. And right now, it's still below water. Right. So you've got to get your head above water and then keep it there, and it doesn't seem like 4-2 here, 4-2 there. You're only going 2 games above 500 each week, but you put that together for 5-6 weeks. The next thing you know, you're right back in this. Like the Orioles and the White Sox have been at the very bottom of the wild card standings, and the Orioles have tied the Athletics 9 games out of the third wild card spot right now. And they're playing the teams that are directly in front of them. And you're not going to catch the team that's in that third wild card spot until you catch the teams that are
above
behind them, but in front of you.
Yep.
So baby steps here, you have an opportunity to go to Seattle, who's in first place in the AL West, and make some noise there. Then you head to Sacramento to play the Oakland Athletics of Sacramento via Las Vegas. And I'd like to see that abbreviation up there. And you go and you find a way to sweep the Athletics, which look, the Athletics, even when they're terrible, and they're not a terrible team anymore, but they're not good. They always find ways to give the Orioles fits, but go out there and make a statement. Yeah.
They're very scrappy.
I'll tell you, I would trade just about anybody on this roster, not named Gunnar or Holiday, to get me Mason Miller and Brent Rooker.
What about Lawrence Butler?
Lawrence Butler, but I mean, he's a younger guy though. He just signed, and I know Booker, Brent Rooker just signed that extension too. But he was 31 when he signed that extension. I think he'd be a much more likely guy, but I think they have plans of building a solid team around him and around Butler. But it's a pipe dream of mine to want those guys. But look, go out and play the Athletics and make some noise, make a statement. And then when we're doing this show next week, hopefully we're talking about an Orioles team that's past the Athletics and they're working their way up. They go 4-2 again, and all of a sudden you're now You're 22,
probably 7 games out.
Yeah,
if not more, because Seattle and Athletics are both ahead of you. So you might, they're probably 7 games out. You go 4-2. Well, it depends what everybody else above them does too. Obviously,
you go 4-2, and now you're it's still not great. It's 26-38. Go 5-1, go 6-0. Look again. They right. Why not? Why can't it be us?
Yeah.
It's hard to not get excited when your team wins 3 in a row, when they win 4 of 6 and 6 of 8. But you do have to remember that it was the White Sox, and they struggled to score runs against the White Sox. Now, the good thing is they've got Colton Cowser and Jordan Westburg likely joining them on that West Coast road.
And Laureano, they're saying now, too.
And Laureano could be back. We're going to get into that.
I think they said O'Neill might be back for the A's series. So,
okay.
We complain that we didn't score a whole lot of runs against the White Sox, but, I mean, let's be honest at who was in that lineup. We have 11 starting, or is it 11? 7 position players right now that have started on this team at one time on the injured list. 7. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they had literally had to piece together a team to beat the White Sox, and they found a way to do it. That's what you hang your hat on. Yeah. You could have easily went out there and lost 1 or 2 of those games easily because you had a AAA lineup essentially. They've pieced together this, and they've won some games, even against St. Louis. I mean, you found a way to win, and now you're starting to you get, like you said, Cowser back, Westburg back. Laureano, they're saying, is probably going to skip a rehab. He hasn't sat out that long. O'Neal's supposed to be back here shortly. Like all of a sudden now you have a starting defense again in the outfield. And then, if they're saying Mullins is only going to sit out those 10 days, like, okay, now you got your center fielder back. And all of a sudden these pieces are starting to come back one at a time. And like I said, if you go out there and go 4-2, and then all of a sudden you come back on this homestand, you've got back 5 guys and you're 6 games out. Like life's going to get a little interesting.
Yeah. And look, you got to make moves on this road trip. You got to make moves on this road trip, because then you're coming home and you're playing the Tigers, and the Tigers just embarrassed the Orioles in the season series last year. And after the Tigers, then you've got the Angels coming to town. You can beat.
It's an exciting June. June is rough.
Yeah, like you've got the Angels coming to town. You can handle the Angels, are they? They're only 6
They're playing
games,
okay, but they're the Angels.
But then you go to all these teams that you're playing are directly in front of you. We're going to get into that and more. Just want to remind everybody, today's show is also brought to you by Classic 5 Golf. If you want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time, the Baltimore Golf Academy has fun instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. So enroll today at BaltimoreGolfAcademy.com. Look, the Orioles, they've been doing this on starting pitching. You got 7 shutout innings from Zach Eflin on Friday. You got 6 innings of 1-run ball from Dean Kremer on Saturday. And you got 6 2/3 innings of basically shutout ball, because it was 1 unearned run against Charlie Morton today. And don't look now, Dean Kremer, his last 7 starts, 3-2 with a 3.43 ERA. So Dean Kremer kind of doing what
we talked about that,
does.
man. He had to get out of April.
Yep, get out of April, and you see what happens
April.
With Dean Kremer. The guy just starts shoving out of nowhere,
It's weird.
And so now you've got Eflin. Hopefully that, and again, it was against the White Sox. Eflin needed a really good start. That couldn't have come at a better time for a guy trying to get back into a groove. And hopefully he can get back to pitching the way he was before the injury for the Orioles. And if he's pitching well, if Charlie Morton's back to being Charlie Morton, then you got Sagano, then you got Dean Kremer. We're talking about the makings of a big league rotation here, and maybe you can afford to have Cade Povich be your number 5 starter and figure things out at the big league level, because Cade Povich has shown the ability to get big league hitters out consistently in a given game. He just can't seem to do it start to start, but you give this guy 32 starts this year and see what happens at the end of the year. Now, I do think that when you do get guys back like Grayson and Bradish, and at this point I'm counting more on Bradish than I am Grayson, believe it or not. Maybe Povich is a guy to go, but you have the makings now of a solid starting rotation. The starting rotation at the beginning of the year, I was pretty confident that the Orioles could win some ball games behind, because I didn't think they'd give you 7 shutout innings every time out, but I thought that they could give you 5-6 innings of 2 to 3 run ball just about every time out.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're going to win a lot of ball games. They just haven't done that until recently, and now, lo and behold, the last 8 games they've got 6 wins, and it's no surprise that they have a ton of quality starts in those 8 games.
They have a 3.80 ERA since Brandon Hyde was fired. The starting pitching only. And that's with Zach Eflin giving up 12 earned runs in 2 starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 3.80. If you take that out, I mean, you're looking at a team with a sub-3 ERA with a starting rotation since Brandon Hyde was fired, which would put them top 7.
Yeah. They're
it's hard to argue results right now, isn't it?
You've got to go out and pitch. You go out and pitch, and things fall into place. If you've got great pitching, and you don't even need great pitching, you just need good pitching, and you need your bats to put up 4 or 5 runs. You put up 4 or 5 runs with the pitching that the Orioles have been getting, you're going to win a lot of ball games. And sure enough, they have been over the last week plus. And Eric Showers, he wants to know what our thoughts are on Tony Mansolino so far. Because I'll be honest with you. He's not great talking to the media.
God, he's terrible.
But he came out.
He wasn't media trained. I'll give him that.
For sure. But he came out and he said, Jackson Holliday is going to play every day, no matter who's on the mound. You never heard that from Brandon Hyde.
Right.
Never heard that from Brandon Hyde. And I don't know that it's that the team didn't like Hyde and they want to play more for Mansolino. I think it's more so like, we were so bad we got our manager fired. And I think that Mansolino is a little bit more hands-off. I think he's a little bit more like, you know what? I'm going to let these guys play baseball. Yeah. I'm going to let these guys play baseball, play their game, and see what they're able to do moving forward, because meddling and taking this guy out after 4 2/3 innings because you've got a lefty on the mound and a righty at the plate, all that stuff, like that's not happening with Manzolino. He's giving these guys an opportunity to get through that 5th inning, maybe pitch a 6th inning. Like the fact that Charlie Morton came out of the 6th inning at about 90 pitches.
I thought his day was done.
We all did. And then he comes out and he's pitching in the 7th inning. And I looked up and I was like, I'm so happy to see Morton's he's pitching well. He earned the right to come back out for that 7th inning. And then he gets 2 outs and they pull him. And I'm telling you, I wanted them to keep him in, mainly because I wanted to be exactly right, saying 7 innings, a 1-run ball, for bragging rights. But like, I wanted them to keep him in because he is, he earned the right, the pedigree that he has from the past, his history and the way he's been pitching his last 4 outings. He deserved to get that 7th inning. I'm glad that Manzolino allowed him to do it. So with that in mind, the lack of media training aside, I don't really have any complaints about Manzolino. I just think that he's just like, guys, go play ball.
The results are speaking for themselves. I mean, they're 7-3 in the last 10 games. I mean, it's hard to. It doesn't matter who you playing. It's still hard to argue the fact that they're winning ball games. And we talked about it on this show, and plenty of fans have said the same thing. That team was lifeless late in the game if they were already down 2 or 3 runs early in the game. They had no fight in them whatsoever. Now, they've been getting leads more often lately, but, the bullpen has given up some runs. And, and I think I said it to you at one point, this team was only averaging like 1.44 runs a game after the 6th inning. They were one of the worst teams in baseball. I would love to pull it up. I haven't pulled it up since, but they obviously are scoring a lot more runs after the 6th inning and giving themselves a chance to win, hence having 7 wins. But they're playing for the guy. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, was it really Brandon Hyde's fault, or like you said, what did they just realize that they just got their guy fired, or did something click? We'll never know. We will never know the answer to that question. But the only thing you can look at is they're winning and they're playing good baseball.
And again, the caveat being they just beat the White Sox, right? Because that series against Boston, they should have won at least 3 of those 4 games, if not swept the series. And I know that there was a 1 game they gave up 19 runs. They were leading 2-1 through 6 innings.
Yeah,
they were leading 2-1, and then they were only down 6-3 going to the bottom of the 8th inning. And Cedric Mullins had just struck out as a go-ahead run at the dish.
And was he actually hurt? Because remember, he sat 2 games in that series.
I have to believe that he is hurt, or that he was hurt, because now he's on the IL.
Right.
Like Jorge Mateo walked twice and hit a 2-run homer in a game against the White Sox. Like you're not going to see that type of game out of Jorge Mateo against a really good team, more than likely. But look, they should have taken 3 or 4 from the White Sox. They should have swept the Cardinals. They were winning all 3 of those games, and they only came away with 1 victory. They were winning all 3 of those games late, and they only came away with 1 victory in that series. And that, what game was it? The middle game or the 3rd game, where they looked like the early season Orioles, where it was just like, it was a debacle. But it was at that 8th inning again. But look, this team they're playing better baseball. And what we have to see now is them go out and play better teams and continue to play winning high quality baseball. And the fact that this team, they got blown out by the Red Sox in that 1 game, 19-5. And we know that. But aside from that, they're pretty much in every single game that they've been playing the last 10 days. They're pretty much in every single game. And that's what you want to see. You want to see more competitive baseball, them starting to get healthy, starting to get confident, rattle off a few wins here, a few wins there. Next thing you know, maybe you're 6-7 games below 500 by the middle or end of June. And now you're thinking, we're not that far out of this. It's a weak American League. We can scratch and claw our way back in here and get healthy at the right time. Look, we talk about this every single show. We have to, right? Because otherwise, what are we doing the show for? We have to believe, and I do believe this team is so much better than the team we saw drop to 18 games below 500 at one point. They're so much better than that. I have to believe that their best baseball is in front of them, and we're just seeing the beginning of it right now. But you got to prove it against better teams.
You got to get healthy. We haven't seen this team healthy in 2 years. Like, there's been somebody somewhere in that lineup or in that pitching staff or in that bullpen that just hasn't been there that you've counted on. And that might be a fault of the Orioles. I don't know, but they're starting to get to that point. Knock on wood that nothing else happens. They're starting to get to that point where we might be able to see this team back together again. And then I keep saying it. Stranger things have happened in baseball. And I know, look, and here's my argument against that. Plenty of people throwing this in my face. No team in baseball has ever done what I keep saying the Orioles could do. No team in baseball has the roster that the Orioles do when they're fully healthy that have been in that position either. They've just been bad baseball teams. You get these 11 guys back and anything is possible because we know that this roster is pretty decent when all 11 of those guys come back with what's already here. Anything can happen.
I mean, you saw when the Orioles were healthy offensively last year, when they were healthy offensively and they had their full rotation. And their full rotation last year at a certain point was Corbin Burnes, Kyle Bradish, Dean Kremer, Grayson Rodriguez, and John Means. When those 5 guys, they were the best.
Suarez, you could have said that.
And Suarez just hit the ground running once Grayson got hurt.
Yeah.
And Tyler Wells, he only got a few starts before his season was cut short. But this team, when they were at full health, they were the best team in baseball. Mm-hmm. In mid-June of last season, when they were in that gauntlet where they played 42 games in 43 days, they had 1 day off in the entire month. They were the best team in baseball. And then everybody started dropping like flies. Just started dropping like flies. Another Orioles pitcher, former Orioles pitcher, dropping like a fly today. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. Today's show is brought to you by helpmygamblingproblem.org. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. That's 1-800-GAMBLER or helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. Let's get into this a little bit. Wanted to talk about Corbin Burnes. Corbin Burnes got hurt today, gave up a base hit, called the medical staff out, and you could read his lips. He said, my elbow's done, it's dead.
Yeah.
Or my elbow's dead, it's done. Something along those lines. And you look at what happened with Corbin Burnes on the mound today, and they said that it could just be inflammation. He's getting an MRI tomorrow. I mean, if he tells you his elbow's dead, I can't imagine it's anything good or anything positive could come from it, but I'm not a doctor. Blake Snell's made 2 starts for the Dodgers this year. People were clamoring for the Orioles to sign Burnes or sign Snell or sign Max Fried, who's looked like a Cy Young candidate, or trade for Crochet, who has looked like a Cy Young candidate. Does a sense of relief come over you that the Orioles didn't end up signing Corbin Burnes, given what's going on with his elbow? And I'm not saying that you're happy that he got hurt. That's monstrous. Okay. What I'm saying is,
are we happy we didn't give him $45 million and this happened?
Yeah. And
with the state that we're already in.
When you think about the state that this team is in right now, and I don't know that Corbin Burnes makes this team much more than it gives this team much more than a few more victories. They're still well below 500, even with Corbin Burnes here this year. I think that's obvious. Yeah. Are you relieved? Because imagine this fan base if Corbin Burnes is your one shining star in the rotation, and then he goes down with the elbow injury. What would happen with this fan base?
They probably lost it. They would lost it. Am I happy? Relieved? I would probably say no. I don't know. I mean, it sucks for Corbin. It sucks for baseball, honestly. I mean, baseball needs its best players on the field, and they can't keep anybody on the field anymore. It hurts the game. I would have still loved to sign Corbin and took my chances. I tell people all the time, you can't outrun it. You really cannot outrun Tommy John. Corbin has for a long time. Grayson Rodriguez has for a long time. So it's coming at some point. It's gonna come. It just sucks. It really, really sucks. And the Diamondbacks are kind of scuffling right now. He was their staple. He was that guy that was going to probably help them get back into at least a postseason at some capacity. And they've been struggling already. Like, now do they become sellers? Like, is now Zach Gallen available to somebody?
Mm-hmm.
Do they trust everyone else to pick up a couple games? Because look, you were already going to be just a wild card team, and now you're losing the guy that would have gave you a solid chance to win every fifth day, and you got to replace that with somebody else that is not going to be as consistent at it. Do you become sellers? That's a
Yeah.
big question for them, because
And
what are they in right now? I know they went through a pretty rough stretch there.
they lost 9 of 10 coming in.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, they had lost 9 of 10. They had lost 10 of 11 after yesterday because yesterday they gave up 9 runs and allowed 11 straight Nationals to reach base before
So
they
they were
recorded
3
out
games
in the
below
first inning.
500. Yeah.
Right. And the funny thing is, Burnes, he left the game after 4 2/3 innings, allowing 1 run with 6 strikeouts. They still won that ball game. They won that game 3-1. Now it's it's bittersweet because they got the win, but I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Thank you. They got the win, but Burnes, there's a chance that he could be done for the season given his reaction to what happened with his elbow on that pitch today.
Yeah. I like Blake's comment here. Blakey. Burnes wouldn't have had many innings here because we would have overthought the matchups.
Oh my gosh.
That's true. We could have kept him healthy. Who knows?
God, we get so many comments. How do we have this many comments already? It's crazy. Yeah, but it's funny because it's true that the hider hook, they call it that for a reason. But
would Hyde still be here if we had Corbin Burnes?
No.
You don't think so?
No. And part of me believes that Corbin Burnes isn't back in part because of Brandon Hyde. I don't think he liked Brandon Hyde very much.
Yeah.
And maybe I just didn't want him to like Brandon Hyde because I didn't like Brandon Hyde and I like Corbin Burnes. And you would think that I didn't like Corbin Burnes based on my definition of an ace is a guy that can give you 7 innings just about every time out there. And Burnes didn't start giving you 7 innings till the second half of the season last year. Like his first 7-inning start, I think
was that his fault though?
I think somewhat. Because
Brandon Hyde loved to take guys out of 5 2/3 and never get you that quality start for fantasy.
But
that was my biggest irk with that guy.
But there was a game where he was at like 84 pitches in 6 innings, and he went to Hyde and said, "I'm done," and took himself out of the game. And I know that he was pitching for a big contract, and he was trying to be healthy for down the stretch. And look, down the stretch. With the exception of August was awful for him, but he made a lot of starts where he went into the 7th and 8th innings down in the second half of the Orioles. I think he only had 2 starts where he went 7 innings the first 2.5, 3 months of the season, though.
I think one was opening day, wasn't it?
No, he went 6 innings, but he struck out 11 on opening day. But I think it was the 3rd game of the year he went 7, and then I believe it was May 24th against the White Sox. He went 7.
Yeah.
But I'm a big Corbin Burnes fan. I love Corbin Burnes overall. When I think of an ace, I think of like Mussina in 1997 giving you 24 starts where he went 7 innings. Yeah. That's an ace to me. But it just makes me wonder how Orioles fans would have reacted, how they're reacting now. And I posted this on X earlier today when I saw the news of the Burnes injury and him coming out of the game. And to a lot of Orioles fans' credit, most of them said that they have sympathy for Burnes rather than being relieved that he wasn't here. One person said something along the lines of,
because we've already experienced it enough.
Yeah, for sure. And one person, like if you're relieved, you're not a good person or whatever. I think that there's a little bit of something that goes through every Orioles fan's head. Like first and foremost, I thought, oh my God, Burnes, that sucks. And then I was like, man, can you imagine if we gave him $45 million a year and then this happened? What this fan base would be doing right now? So that's where
I think the warehouse might be on fire, honestly.
Yeah. For sure. And they'd be calling for Drew French's head. They'd be calling for the strength and conditioning coach's head. They're already calling for Elias's head. So it's not that you're happy that he got hurt. It's that
you're just happy you didn't give out the $45 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if it is Tommy John surgery that he needs, I mean, it's June 1st. Kyle Bradish had his Tommy John surgery in June last year, and he's still not back. So you're talking the rest of this season and likely most of next season that you're going to be without Corbin Burnes after giving him 6 years, $210 million. I don't want to give a guy $45 million a year to not pitch for me for a year and a half, but doesn't mean I'm happy that he got hurt. I'm pretty sad that he got hurt because I like Corbin Burnes a lot.
Yeah. He was a good dude.
Has Max Scherzer pitched since that first start?
I don't believe so. I haven't even heard of his name.
Well, he was another one I put in here. Like,
yeah, we both wanted him.
We wanted Scherzer. You know, you wanted Snell. You wanted Corbin Burnes, and these three guys are all hurt right now.
Okay,
and that's cool though, man. Like, dog's making an appearance. That's a good boy. And I was after my games, and my team's sponsored by Independent Brewing Company. And we went there, and I was walking my wife out to the car because she was taking my daughter home. And there was a woman who was trying to get this puppy out from underneath her car.
Stop it.
Not like, no, the puppy was hiding.
No, I'm telling him.
I thought like, no, the dog was hiding, and the dog bit her. It was a rescue that she literally just got today, and she was trying to get her out. And I was the only one that could like touch this dog and like pet the dog and not have it try and bite him and all, because I was coming at it, not trying to grab it, just trying to kind of love on it and make it drop its guard a little bit. But I felt so bad for that dog, man. I didn't feel bad for the people. I felt bad for the dog because somebody, it's 5 months old, and somebody was really, really mean to that dog. Somebody was really mean to that dog. But anyway, so your dog, I'm always glad to see him make an appearance on the show.
Yeah, he's he likes to try and steal a spotlight.
Yeah, well, dogs are worthy of it. Man, we got a lot of.
He's coming back.
So, John Mabry brought in to be an advisor to the Orioles coaching staff. He's in the dugout.
So he didn't report till today, right?
I believe so. I believe so. What does this move tell you about the Orioles' plans and what they're thinking about their coaching staff? Because it's also been reported that the coaching staff will remain in place for the rest of the season. So what does it tell you bringing in Mabry?
I think Mike Elias is accepting the fact that he's been told his ass is on the line. Because Mabry is not a Mike Elias type hire, which, French was put in place by Elias. So was Cody. Got to get down, bud. So was Tommy Joseph. Those were yes guys that followed analytics. Mabry is not an analytical guy. And what I liked about him, can you stop biting me? Is he's a first pitch hunter. Like he's aggressive, and he teaches guys to be aggressive. Miami was exceptionally aggressive in 23 and 24. They've like led the league in first pitch swinging and stuff like that, and they had like a plus 315 average or something like that on the first pitch. Like, he's going to bring that back. And that was what we did in the first half of 24 was we were very aggressive early in the account. And I feel like sometimes this year it's like they like bounce between let me take pitches and let me swing early. And then they get like lost. So where if they go up there and like, let me swing early, dog's down here chewing on my big toe for no reason. Stop.
It's just my dog attacks my wife's feet for no, like, not like play attacks my wife's feet for no
That's
reason.
what he's doing. He's just because I'm not giving him any attention. He's nibbling on my big toe. And
Dogs, they're the best.
Yeah, so it's like Brooke said that turns me on. So I mean, I think they get back to that point last year. They look to be aggressive early, especially with runners in scoring position. And I don't know why they ever got away from that, to be completely honest with you. Because at one point last year, they were hitting like 370 as a team on the first pitch. And it was like, fans kind of complained about it. Now, sometimes they were a little uber aggressive early in the account with runners in scoring position. And I get that. But it seems like they took that like way too extreme and just stopped swinging early in the count. And they just haven't been the same since. So if John can get back to that, and I really want to see him work with certain guys. Gunnar right now is hitting the ball too much on the ground. Just I don't care if it's hard, it's on the ground. It doesn't do you any good. I want to see him, try to fix Kerstad right now. I don't think they're going to be able to just say, hey, knock off your leg kick because it's causing you issues. They're going to try to modify it right now, but he grew up and played in a time where a lot of guys had leg kicks. So he might be able to help is what I'm hoping. Kobe Mayo, same thing. I want to see him try to get an easier way to get, his bat to the ball instead of that hitch that he has. Just little things. And I don't know. I think he can definitely help. And I think They say it was a coach's decision to hire him, so they may have all agreed like, hey, we're kind of maybe in over our head, or our jobs are on the line. Like let's get somebody else in here to help us. Maybe not just Mike admitting that. We'll see. We'll see. He's apparently kind of like overseeing everything, which I thought was very interesting. And it could go to the lack of experience from all the coaches. So I'm not against it. I mean, John's been on some winning teams in St. Louis. He played in St. Louis and then coached in St. Louis on some winning teams. So I really think that was a Matt Holliday person.
Stop. You think so?
I do.
Because I know that
Matt played for him as a coach. And then, he's worked with Jackson already. So I think Matt was like, let's get this guy in here because this is what he likes to do. And this is what this team is lacking.
Well, and they said that.
Let me get this dog out of here.
All right. No worries. No worries.
Come on.
So you look at John Mabry. He was named the assistant hitting coach to Mark McGwire in 2012 for the Cardinals. Let's see. He got promoted to hitting coach after McGwire left for the Dodgers for the 2013 season. And then let's see. Released from his position in 2018. He was at the Kansas City Royals staff as a major league coach in December of 2019, and then December 2022 he added to the Marlins staff as a major league assistant hitting coach. And now he's with the Orioles. So he's on their coaching staff as a senior advisor. So he's been around. And I think the important thing here is Robinson Chirinos. I think he got his first taste of coaching at any level last year. Buck Britton has never coached at the major league level till this year. Cody Ashe, his first year coaching at the big league level is 2023. Sherman Johnson, this is his first big league gig. Tommy Joseph's first big league gig was last year. So you look at this staff, John Mabry has spent more time coaching in the big leagues than any of these guys have spent coaching, period. It seems like, and so adding him, I think it adds that, to quote Brandon Hyde, adult in the room, so to speak. Somebody who's been there, done that, played on winning teams, coached on winning teams, and had a big impact in the dugout from the coaching side of things. So I like bringing him in. To me, it shows that the Orioles know that like their way isn't getting it done, and we got to get a fresh set of eyes in here.
Yeah,
and figure some stuff out.
I read somebody on Twitter, and I don't even remember who it was, and they were like, the John Mabry hire is so Orioles that are refusing to adapt to the new style of hitting. And I'm like, I don't know. Do you follow that HLP stuff?
No.
The Aaron Judge's hitting coach, and he preaches to literally take your hands and snap this as the ball's coming.
No, I don't follow that. I did learn from somebody else when I was playing last fall, because I had adopted a pretty significant leg kick to try and generate more power. But I was getting the timing with a leg kick is so difficult.
It is.
So then I learned from this guy who'd been watching the Aaron Judge hitting coach, where instead of doing that, I'll bring my foot back to my front foot back to my back foot as the guy starts his delivery, so that I can see the pitch that much longer and be able to differentiate what's coming. Yeah. And so I can drive the ball better. And it's worked to this point. So that's the only thing that I've seen from the Aaron Judge hitting coach thing, and that I've adapted.
Yeah. So this guy was like, the Orioles are refusing to adapt to this new HLP style, and the John Mabry hire is just so Orioles that he's old school. He's not going to be able to get these guys to hit the new age pitching. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, what? Like HLP can be broken down to, like you just described, to like kind of shift your weight better. So back in the day, like guys lunged at the ball. When you watched a lot of old hitters, and even Tony Gwynn did it, all of their momentum was always moving forward. And now it's like all you ever hear is stay back, stay back, stay back, hit off your back leg, and guys pop the ball up all the time. So that's a lot of what HLP is staying back on your back leg and then lifting. Pretty much exactly how Adley swings. I would not be shocked if Adley's trying HLP. But I'm like, John could hit. Like, dude hit 285 in 8 years in St. Louis. He wasn't a great career hitter. I mean, he was above 250, but like the old school style hitting still works. Gunnar Henderson is a living proof of it. Okay, Judge is great. Sure. Ohtani does the lift and drive too. I get that. There's still plenty of guys that still hit the old way. They say
Mhm.
that throwing your hands at the ball takes too long. And now everything just needs to be snapped like this. Like you
Mhm.
want your hands on your chest and you want to snap the barrel. And it's literally how they talk about it. They want you to blow your front shoulder open and snap. Like that's what
Mhm.
HLP is. And it's just weird to like immediately say like the Orioles are just so dumb for not adopting this. Like not everybody's adopting it because the guys that have, like, there's been 4 guys that legitimately have come out and said that they do the HLP hitting. One is Aaron Judge, and the other 3 have been sent back to the minors because they can't
Mhm.
hit. So it was just weird to read that. Like, it's some people are like really into it and they believe that it's the greatest thing on earth. But one thing that I've noticed is the only videos that you find about it, they're always in a cage. They're never on a
Mhm.
field. And
Mhm.
anybody can make anything in a cage look really, really good.
Yeah.
Hell, I look really good in a cage.
Oh, you should see me in a cage. But
Right.
what you know what pitch is coming every time when you're in a cage.
Yeah.
It's completely different. It's
Right. And it's
completely
like
different.
soft toss. Like they do all these videos. Oh, look how strong this guy hits it on the hit tracks and with front toss. And I'm like, cool. It's front toss.
Mhm.
I'm so impressed. I don't care if Judge hits a ball 200 miles an hour from front toss. It's front toss. Who cares? But
Mhm.
I don't know. We're off tangent on that, but it's just
No.
that was the only negative thing I seen about it. It was just so weird. I'm thinking like to myself that this guy's a proven hitter and he's worked with plenty of players that have hit over the years. Like, why would you give me some kind of negative thing about that?
Did
It
you
was just weird.
did you see somebody just let your dog back in?
Yeah. Oh, he'll go
Uh,
crazy outside if he's not in here with me.
Oh, for real? That's funny.
I texted my
Um,
wife. I was like, I think you need to let him out because he's literally biting me. That's usually his sign to tell me that he wants to
oh,
go
and then
outside.
she cracked the door if he wants to go. Oh,
Thankfully, because
there
it's
he
getting a
goes.
little hot in here.
Um, yeah, and look, I'm just glad to see them that they're trying something else. They're trying
Yeah.
something else. They got rid of the manager. Manzolino seems to be like, hey guys, play baseball, play your game. You know, you guys are good players. You're here for a reason. And now they have a guy who is coached. He's had success at the big league level as a player, and he's had success as a coach at the big league level. I'm all for it. I would love to see what they're going to do. I think that if they say that the coaching staff will remain in place the rest of the year, does that mean Tony Mansolino as well? Or do you think they're going to hire a
So
manager the second half?
they still have an open position on the coaching staff. So if they decided to hire a manager right now, everyone would just go back to their old position and
Mhm.
no changes get made at that point.
Mhm.
So both can be true,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess it does make sense, and you, especially when you hear Mansolino saying like, "I was happy doing what I was doing. Like, I don't have any designs of being the next Orioles manager," which is again media 101. Um, what I also want to know, Matt Holliday. He was on the field the other day working with Ramon Laureano. Um, how much of a role? He's not on the Orioles coaching staff. He's just here because his son plays for them. Do the Orioles I, and Matt Holliday would have to want to coach it. So many people are saying just make him your next hitting coach. I don't think he wants to do it.
No,
I don't.
not with the year that Ethan's about to have. A lot of big things are about to happen for Ethan. And he didn't miss it for Jackson, and it wouldn't be fair if he missed it for Ethan. I
Sure.
don't see him taking anything in the next year and a half, maybe 2.
Yeah. It would make sense though if Ethan's in Washington and Jackson's in Baltimore, that he's kind of like that he's going to be around, you know.
Yeah.
But I just, how much of an influence do you think he has on this organization at all? Especially because he's been at a lot of games recently.
I'm not going to sit here and say that like they listen when Matt speaks, but he's a really good player in this league and
Hmm.
he's very well respected. And I think when he offers suggestions, they don't just ignore it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like this is a guy that's went and everywhere he played, he was well respected. He played well and everything he did it right. And I think they don't throw it out the window. I think, if he says, "Hey, I've got this guy who might be able to help you," they're going to listen. And it looks like they probably listened and then did their own homework and figured out that he probably does fit. And he may have made other suggestions and they haven't done it. We don't know, and he may not have even suggested this either. It's just me talking here.
Hmm.
But it wouldn't shock me. It's just why wouldn't they listen? It's like if Buck Showalter called them and said, "Hey, like, you should do this just a little differently," like, I think they would listen, just because he's been there a long time, and
Right.
he's done it successfully in a lot of different areas. Why wouldn't you listen? And you
Right.
still get to do your own homework and make your own decision. It's not like you're just doing it just to do it, and I just think he may give him a whole list. Who knows? And that might
Yeah.
have been the guy that they picked.
I don't know if this was said tongue in cheek or not, but Blake Lucane said, "What if Ethan falls to us? He'd have to drop 21 spots." Because
Yeah.
I think
He would have to get hurt.
the Orioles picked 22nd overall, correct?
I think it's like 19th. Will you stop biting me?
They pick in the late teens, early 20s, and Ethan's supposed to go number 1. He's supposed to go number 1.
I don't know if he does go number 1 because apparently that lefty from Florida State's flying up the boards.
Mm-hmm.
He's a starter. I guess he's throwing like 95 plus or something from the left side, and he's a junior, and everybody's falling in love with him.
Gotcha. Well,
the mocks that I've seen have actually had him to either Colorado at 4 or St. Louis at 5. Matt would love any of that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Blake Leo says Elias will not listen to Buck. You know that. I
think it depended on what it was. Buck's a smart guy.
Well, and here's the thing. Somebody, I think Ryan Ripken on the Ryan Ripken show asked Buck if he would manage the Orioles again or would it be awkward. And Buck was like, I loved my time in Baltimore. I still have a home there. My son still lives in Severna Park. We come up to see him. He's like, and I don't think it would be awkward because you spend too much time together. That awkwardness goes away really quickly.
Right.
So he didn't say no, he wouldn't like to do it. Do you think there is any chance in hell that Buck Showalter manages the Orioles again?
No.
I don't either.
I think that course has been run.
Yeah, I don't think it happens either. I would love it. I love Buck. I
think he's old too, isn't he? In his 70s.
He was 54.
Was he really? He looks terrible for his age then.
Well, he's not. He's not 54 now. He was
right. But I'm just thinking, even back then, like he just looked old.
So yeah, he's pushing 70. He's about 69,
he's 69.
70 years old. Yeah. So I love Buck Showalter. I do. I love Buck. He's my favorite manager. Him and Davey Johnson, my 2 favorite managers in Orioles history. That I remember. Obviously, Earl Weaver is like number 1, right?
Yeah.
But I would love to have Buck back, but I don't think Mike Elias would ever do that. The only chance that Buck has of being the Orioles manager again is if it's a completely new regime taking over.
I tell you though, I think Mike is accepting the fact that his ass is on the line, and we don't know. Maybe he changes the whole course. Who knows?
Do you believe that Mike Elias is that MLB executive burner?
No.
Twitter handle?
No. He's way too in depth about all the other organizations to have time to do that and run a team. There's no shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He knows about prospects in like Arizona's Dominican League. Now, a GM should know that, but like, are they really going to take the time to tweet about that? Like,
right.
That's like their head scout's job. That's not his job.
Who was the guy that used to be the GM of, he was on ESPN all the time, and he used to be the GM of the Mets, and he was like a pervert and got fired.
I remember his name. I don't remember his name. I mean,
white hair. I feel like his name was Steve something. God, what was that guy's name? Because I could totally see
Phillips.
Steve Phillips.
Yeah,
white
from
hair.
97 to 2003.
Yeah,
and he was an analyst from 2005 to 2009.
Yeah, it's Steve Phillips. I feel like I could see it being somebody like Steve Phillips.
It's funny. Blake said Dan Duquette. I've thought Dan Duquette a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people seem to think it's Mike Elias. I don't. The way that those tweets come out, I'm like, there's no chance that's Mike Elias. But
No.
And if it was Mike Elias, because there's the thing from Yale that's in the bio.
I think it's trolling people.
I really don't think that he would be tweeting about what the Orioles could get for Felix Bautista and Cedric Mullins. You know what I mean? I could totally see it being Steve Phillips. Brooks Frost.
Yeah.
Man, that guy's he's too funny. This comment: Kjerstad is gone as soon as Cowser comes back. Well, Cowser's coming back on Tuesday. Like his rehab assignment's done. Is Kjerstad the odd man out? The Orioles have not skipped a beat from Laureano to Carlson. Carlson started hitting the second that Laureano got hurt.
You still got Hummel. I mean, maybe they use that for Westburg and then use Kjerstad for Cowser. I don't know. I think they really want Mabry to work with him because it's mechanical and a little bit of mental.
Yeah.
It's not like he's being overmatched. He's just swinging at bad pitches or he's just swinging through them. Maybe he does. Maybe they say, hey, like, here's your project, Mabry. Here's a bunch of video on him. Like, give me a little write up and then tell us how you want to kind of fix him. And then they'll fix him in AAA. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. I think he does need to go down to reset. Today's hit was good. He got fooled on changeup and then sat on another changeup and drove it into right field for his first triple. And then gets picked off at third. It just seems like every little small mistake that Kjerstad could make, he's making it right now. The not talking with Mateo and then they running into each other. That was a little rough. You got to talk. Either one of them got to talk. The ball that he missed that kind of hit off the 373 sign, could it have been caught? Probably got caught by Santander. Probably got caught by Carlson or Lariano. So I'm going to say yes. He's still inexperienced there. Some of the left field stuff, his routes are really bad. And he gets close to the ball, but he would get there with better routes. And that was something that Santander started off the same too. So he was god awful in the outfield when he first came up with his routes. And then as of last year, he was one of the top 10 guys in all of baseball when it came to taking a route to the ball. So, I mean, he worked on his craft and he got better. There's no reason that Kjerstad can't do the same thing, but right now it's the same thing. It's terrible. And it's costing the Orioles some runs. And I do think he has to go down. I mean, they're letting up runs right now, but when you shore up that outfield defense with Cowser and then Mullins comes back and Lariano and you still got Carlson, you probably at that point don't even need to play O'Neill out there because he's been kind of shaky too. So I think they're just waiting on that. He is an odd man out. He's got to be until he fixes it. The problem is once you send down a 27-year-old back to AAA, he's got no trade value whatsoever, and confidence might get shot too. Who knows? But it's a bad situation.
Yeah, I mean, Kjerstad's time on the roster could be in jeopardy. Kobe Mayo, he's up here just because Mountcastle straightened the hamstring and he went on the 10-day IL. I don't know, man. There's going to be a roster squeeze here soon because when Westburg comes back, Emmanuel Rivera's played twice in the last week, right? So he's played twice in the last week. Then
it's because Urias is so damn hot.
Well, Urias just went through an 0 for 8, 0 for 9 stretch, something like that. Before getting a couple of hits today. But I mean, like, that's not, they were like, Urias breaking the 0 for, and I'm like, oh, it was he 0 for 15. They were like, he's 0 for his last 8 coming into this game. I'm like, oh, that's
2 games.
That's 2 games. But Urias is playing a good third base. Westburg's going to come back, and Urias is going to go back to a utility role, or they're going to slow play Westburg in. But is Mateo's roster spot safe? Is Rivera's roster spot safe?
I hope it's not.
Mateo, I hope it's not too, but that's a guy who just sticks around.
It's so terrible, isn't it?
I mean, he doesn't play a ton. He's been playing more recently on necessity, but he's got 14 stolen bases.
Yeah.
The major league leader has 18.
Yeah. I think I'm just so over it.
Yeah. I mean,
I only think that way because he has been forced into more of a full-time role or more than part-time, I should say.
It happens every year.
It does. That's why is he just a bad luck charm? Just if we just got rid of him, everybody would stop getting hurt.
I don't know, man. But that whole thing with Mayo yesterday, Mateo was like the first one out on the field.
Well, it's the fastest too.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. What did you think of that with Kobe Mayo yesterday?
I loved it. It was a smart baseball play. And you're taught that in the minor leagues, and you should technically be taught that in high school, honestly. And you're definitely taught it in college to try and make contact. The difference was that guy was very athletic and probably saw that was coming and moved. And then Kobe had to extend a lot farther to try and make some kind of contact, because if not, he just falls over and looked really stupid. I didn't mind it. And the guy, was probably talking shit because he knew what was going on. Everybody knows. And kind of gave Kjerstad a little push on the back a little bit and pushed the guy in the chest. Little fire. I like it. You know? I didn't like it. He walked away, but
Well, yeah. If the bench is going to clear, you got to stick in there.
Yeah.
But like we just heard about how this team has been accused of being soft. Teams are starting to call the Orioles soft. And fans hate that, but then they see what Mayo did yesterday, trying to keep a play alive, keep an inning alive, and find his way to stay on base after an RBI single. And then he gets up and he shoves a guy who's talking trash. Like you either you can't have it both ways. You either don't want to have the reputation of being soft, or you don't want to have the reputation of being that team. I don't think the Orioles are either, but they've got to do something about that reputation. If I see a guy, a young kid, trying to earn a roster spot, trying to stick in the big leagues finally, who's a top prospect, and he's showing a little bit of fire there, I'm not going to get mad at that. He's trying to make a play for my team. I'm by all means keep doing that. Keep playing.
Yeah.
Now it's not like he's A-Rod smacking the ball out of somebody's glove. Like a 12, 15-year veteran trying to smack a ball out of somebody's glove. He's a young kid trying to make a name for himself and trying to help his team the best way that he can. I have no issues with that. I thought it was weird that people did.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You ain't gonna please everybody all the time.
Yeah, I know that. Today's show brought to you by Glenn Clark Radio. If you missed anything from Glenn Clark Radio this week, including conversations with former Orioles Jim Palmer and Jim Traber, plus Bob Nightingale, Jason Stark, and much more, you can find them all now in the Glenn Clark Radio Week in Review feature at PressBoxOnline.com. And as always, watch or listen to GCR every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. at PressBoxOnline.com/radio or right here on Facebook and YouTube. Zach, I've got a segment for you, Moore's Minor League Minute.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of minor leaguers you want to highlight for us who had a pretty solid month of May.
Yep. Let's start with Delmarva. I'm gonna share a couple things here. Let's start with Delmarva's catcher. Yasmiel I don't even know how to say it.
Bucci, I would guess.
Yeah, sure. He hit 322 in the month of May, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs, 20 walks to 27 Ks with a 993 OPS.
That OPS stands out.
That's gonna stand out a lot. Had a very good month here. And the next one I have is Aaron Estrada, which some people might know his name. And Aaron had a good month as well. 312 average, 1 home run, 11 RBIs, 9 walks, 16 Ks, 885. And look, this kid's 20 years old. 20 years old right now in Aberdeen, playing very well. That's a solid month in at any level. And the last one, is it going to let me screen share? No. The last one is, if I can pull it up here, Joshua Lorenzo with the Florida Gulf Coast League. Now, this is an 18-year-old kid, 19 for 55, 345 average, 1 home run, 10 RBIs, 14 walks, and 16 Ks, and a 973 OPS. And look, these are guys that not too many people know about all the time. I just look for guys that had a solid May. There were still, like Creed was probably up there. Doug Hodo could have been selected, but guys know those guys. So I wanted to pick some guys that we don't really get to hear about too often, and then maybe just a name to kind of keep an eye on here to going forward.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that the Orioles have a lot of great catchers in their system, top to bottom. And I expect Adley to still be one of those great catchers when it's all said and done. And it's nice to see some names that you otherwise may not know, and you can kind of familiarize yourselves with them, because these could be guys that you're talking about a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, whether they're helping you on the big league roster or they're helping you get pieces for your big league roster. Yep. These guys are all important, and to see them playing so well and see all three of those guys that you highlighted with OPSs to start with 8 and 9, like that's important. You look up and down the Orioles lineup, there aren't too many guys whose OPSs are in the 7s, let alone in 800s and 900s.
I was really close to putting in Nate George, and it's a guy that I've talked with you about before.
You've got me really excited about him.
His month of May, he had a 1.119 OPS with 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, 11 steals, and hit 429. Now that's also an 18-year-old kid. He is in the Florida Gulf Coast League. I just felt like, because I talked about him, people kind of already knew that name, so I didn't pick him. But he had an outstanding month as well. Could he move to Delmarva soon? I don't know. Tavera just apparently ran into the wall in Delmarva and hurt his shoulder, so there might be a spot open. We'll see.
And you talk about his crazy speed, right?
Yeah.
Like Nate George has like stupid speed.
Yeah,
So
he was an Olympic runner for Team USA, the 18 and under Team USA team, and they say he potentially could be a step faster than Bradfield.
there you go. I mean, a guy who's hitting that well. And look, he's 18 years old. He's playing in that Florida Complex League down there, and he's tearing the cover off the baseball, and he's got that kind of speed. I wouldn't be surprised to see him and a few other guys up at Delmarva here in the next couple of weeks. Maybe even like none of these teams are playing tomorrow, so maybe he gets that call tomorrow, especially after that injury you just alluded to at Delmarva. But there are still exciting players in this farm system. Just because Jackson Holiday and Gunnar Henderson, Jordan Westburg, and Calzer and Rutschman are all here doesn't mean that there's not still exciting players that aren't named Mayo and Basayo and Beavers. Yeah. So it's important. We appreciate you sharing those players with us so that we have guys to keep an eye on, because I'll tell you, one of the best parts about the Orioles' terrible losing seasons during the rebuild was being able to keep an eye on the minor leagues and have something to root for and something to have hope for. And so if we can still have these young players to give us something to hope for the future, I think that is really, really important. Thank you, Zach.
We'll give you one more too. This is finally a pitcher that pretty much everybody needs to start paying attention to, is Braxton Bragg.
Another great outing today.
Yeah, another one. And today, he's lowered his actually, I guess it went up today because he let up 2 runs. Sorry. But he's got a season ERA right now in Double A at a 1.82 right now. Mm-hmm. He's tearing the cover off the ball. I'm not tearing it. He's throwing them. He throws 100. So guys are hitting just 140, 190 off of him. No, this isn't right. This is giving me more than I need. Let's do career here. All right. So in Double A this year, 182 right now. He's got started 6 out of the 7 appearances. He's got 34 innings, only given up 24 hits. He's only 7 earned runs, and he's got 49 strikeouts in 34 innings with a 1.01 whip and a 190 average against him. So again, throws 100 miles an hour. So we'll see.
Guy that nobody was really talking about prior to the season. Now he's making a name for himself.
No, he was in Aberdeen to start the year.
Yeah,
he was in Delmarva last year. So here's the funny part. In Delmarva last year, he had a 3.6. In 2023, he had a 6.75 in Delmarva. He only pitched 1 game. 3.36 last year in 24 appearances. So he was okay. And then started in Aberdeen this year, had 3 appearances, 16 innings, and had 18 Ks with a 0.109 average against. So barely almost 100 average, with a 0.67 whip.
Yeah, that's just how pitching your competition. That's just being better than everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's why he's in Double A now.
Yeah, and he's 24. So he's figuring it out, and he's throwing upper 90s, touching 100 a couple times.
He keeps doing this at Bowie. He's going to be a AAA soon.
I wouldn't be shocked that if he maybe gets a chance in the bullpen this year.
Yeah, and you've been hearing some people talk about that.
Yeah, he's 6'2". So look, every time I see a Norfolk highlight on Twitter, whether that be a Basayo home run or a Mayo home run, and I'm like, oh, cool, they're hitting home runs, and I look at it, it's like 15-2 in the 2nd inning, and I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Mm-hmm. Like, let's get some of these guys up here.
Yeah, McDermott gave up 9 runs in 2 innings today.
Yeah.
9 runs. It said there was 13-4. Colton Calzer doubles home a run. Norfolk Trails 13-4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good Lord.
Sheesh. No, we appreciate you filling us in on the on some minor league players we otherwise might not know something about. That segment has been brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. If you're feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself, it could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, they specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone and cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Call Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills at 443-264-4454 or visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. I swear I did not mean to make your segment the one that was sponsored by Game Day Men's Health for people that need testosterone therapy. That was not
if you did.
Yeah.
I think we all need a little of it in life just for some energy, because coffee ain't cutting it anymore.
Oh man. Coffee, energy drinks, Adderall. I'm prescribed Adderall. I don't have a problem. I'm prescribed Adderall. Yeah, man. It's the older I get. I was telling somebody today, man. Like I gotta somehow get my cardio up. I reached base a couple of times, saying every time I had to run, by the time I was done, I was like, oh man, like I couldn't catch my breath. And I'm like, I'm not even 41, man. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Anyway, that's what you have to look forward to, man. You only got a few years till you're over the hill. Like I'm in good shape. I take care of myself, and I run out of double, and I'm like, sit.
It wasn't even hot today. Wait until it starts getting hot.
Oh my gosh, I love playing sports in the heat, but like the older I get, I'm like, man, can we stay inside in the AC?
Yeah.
Little AL East roundup for you today. The Red Sox beat the Braves 3-1. Trevor Story collected 2 hits and drove in all 3, but Garrett Crochet stole the show with 12 strikeouts over 7 innings of 1-run ball. The Blue Jays scored 6 eighth-inning runs, highlighted by Addison. Is it Barger or Barger?
I don't know.
By Addison Barger's 3-run home run to take down the A's 8-4. With that loss, the A's and Orioles are now tied in the wild card standings, 9 games back in the third and final spot. Like I said earlier in the show, baby steps, people. And the Rays lost to Houston 1-0 as Christian Walker's first inning RBI single stood the test of time and was all the offense Hunter Brown would need as he tossed 6 innings of 1 hit ball. Taj Bradley struck out 10 in 7 innings of 1 unearned run ball to take the hard luck loss. Last I checked, the Yankees were in the 4th inning. They play every Sunday night. They are on Sunday Night Baseball every single week because every time we do this, I look for the scores. And they're up 6-2 over the Dodgers in the bottom of the 7th inning after losing it. What was it, 18-2 that they were 17-2 that they lost yesterday to the Dodgers?
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah,
I remember they posted like when Judge hit the second home run, they posted it as a highlight. Like, dude, who cares?
Right,
you're down 15-2.
Tommy Edman hit his 9th home run. Pages, I think is what his name is, spelled Pages. He hit his 11th home run for the Dodgers and for the Yankees. If Judge didn't go deep, I'd be surprised. For the he doesn't even have a hit today. For the Yankees, Ben Rice hit his 12th home run to lead the offense there as they're up 6.
What a story he's been.
Yeah, he's having a nice bounce back year. I mean, 250, but he's got 12 home runs. He's got 25 RBI.
Swing. He's got a nice swing.
He had a 3-homer game for them last year, and then I think he had like 1 home run the rest of the year.
Yeah.
After that, like he went into a terrible stuff. I'll tell you a nice bounce back story is Ryan Yarbrough for the Yankees. He went 6 innings today, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 5 strikeouts, 2.83 ERA for the Yankees right now.
Their pitching coach is good. They've turned around a nice
season.
Yeah, they've turned around several guys in the last year and a half, 2 years. I mean, Luke Weaver was on the way out of baseball and then turned it around up there, and he's stellar, absolutely stellar. Yarbrough, heel, was really struggling with walks early in the season, and it turned out a pretty decent season last year. And they at one point we were kind of laughing at them, like these guys have literally nobody in their starting rotation, and they're piecing together some pretty quality starts here. So, I mean, hats off to their pitching coach, kind of keeping it together over there.
And you know what? Like the pitching has been helping them run away with this division, and the fact that every other team has been mediocre at best. But also, you look at their offense. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt's hitting .335 with an .878 OPS. Their top 4 hitters, the lowest OPS is .870, and it's Trent Grisham. They're 1 through 4 hitters. I mean, Judge is at .1254. That guy's a freak. He's a video game character. But I mean, like they're 1 through 7 hitters all have an OPS of 731 or higher. That would, I think 731 would be like 3rd on the Orioles right now. If you look at what the Orioles posted today from their lineup.
Yeah. Yes. Hill too. Yep.
Yeah. 951 for O'Hearn. And the next one is Jesus. Good Lord.
It's a Gunner six something.
Jackson Holiday at 759, Gunnar Henderson at 752, and then it's Ramon Arias at 697, and then Dylan Carlson at 659. That's this offense that the Orioles have. No wonder they've only, I mean, everybody's hurt, but I digress.
They got a lot of injuries.
A lot of injuries. So hey,
they are 5-0 in the Cooper Hummel era.
There you go.
5-0.
You got to keep him for the vibes. You got to keep him on the roster for the vibes.
Sorry, Mateo.
Birdland Sports Zone wanted to know, John Mabry hitting coach next year, Matt Holliday manager. Matt going to manage his son just like Senior did. Do you think there's any chance of that happening?
No.
I don't think so either. I mean, he's
in
been
2027 if it was available, maybe. But
if the Orioles,
Ethan about to go through all that, it'd be. that would cause some family issues. Let's just say that.
I think so. Although Ethan doesn't seem like he really cares. Yeah,
No, but
feel
I
like
think mom would get really pissed off.
probably. That's funny. I hate when people say video game numbers. Video games aren't easy. Watch me play the show. The show is ridiculously hard. I haven't bought a new version of it in 2 years because I'm like, I just set it back to like the 2006 settings because I don't want to play. I don't need that challenge. The game's hard enough as it is. I just want to play. Any comments that you want to get to? God, there's so many comments on every show, and I feel so bad because we used to get to all of them, and now we get to like 6.
We might have to start spreading it out in between somehow.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because we get talking about baseball and then people are commenting throughout the entire show, and
I seen one from AJ. If the Red Sox fired Alex Cora this year, should we hire him?
Why would
I'll
they
let
fire
you answer that first.
Well, for one, they're not going to fire him. They love Alex Cora
I think
in
they
Boston.
might.
You think so?
They hate him.
They hate him?
Fans hate him. Fans hate him.
Okay. I don't know, man. Coming from that with the whole cheating scandal thing, and you've already got Mike Elias, and people are losing their minds about him. If Mike Elias brought in Alex Cora, I don't know how well that would go over with this fan base. I don't see it. I don't see it. What do you think?
I don't think he's that good, personally.
Okay.
I feel like Boston's had a fairly decent roster the last couple of years, and they're staring down a 4th straight year of not really doing what they thought they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have one of the top farm systems, and Roman Anthony's not even up here yet. And when do you look at it as if they bring up Anthony, you have Anthony and Mayer and Christian Campbell, and then Story is really struggling, and then you got this whole issue going on with Devers, like he can't control that. Now Bregman's hurt. When's it end? Like he's
they gave
a lot of stuff.
They've given that big extension to Brian Bayo, and he's just been okay. What's his ERA? 4.5.
What was the other one that really sucked afterwards?
They had Tanner
was
Houck.
It Cutter? Houck.
Tanner Houck.
Was it him that?
No, Tanner Houck was an all-star last year.
Yeah. But who else was it?
Cutter Crawford.
They had
Nick Pivetta. I think it was Cutter Crawford. Cutter Crawford was
he was getting hit all around the park, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, I think it was Tanner Houck. Whoever it was, they gave up 15 twice this year.
15?
Yeah.
15. What do you mean 15?
15 runs.
Hits? Let's look up Tanner Houck. See what he's doing this year.
I'm on Cutter Crawford now.
All right. Tanner Houck is 0-3 with an 8.04 ERA, negative 1.6.
It was Houck.
Yeah,
so he gave up 11 on May 12th to Detroit, and then 11 on April 14th to Tampa. So he was a guy that, like, at the beginning of last year looked really, really good. And he's got an 8.04 ERA this year, and now he's on a 60 day.
He had a 3.12 ERA. He had a 3.12 ERA in 30 starts last year. 3.5 win player.
Yeah.
He also hit a major league leading 16 batters last year.
Yeah. But he's like constantly, Coors had all this talent around him. He's been given a pretty decent pitching staff. Then they went out and got Crochet, and then they went out and got Bueller and Aroldis Chapman, and it's like
Bueller hasn't been good either.
No, but they're just not. It's not coming together. Like, why would I want a guy that can't keep Boston together, who wants to go out and sign people and bring in the right pieces, and he can't do anything with it? I don't want that guy here.
I mean, they don't have anybody to play first base for him.
Nope.
Abraham Toro.
Oh, they do, but their manager can't convince the guy that they gave $300-some million to play it.
Yeah. Yeah. Devers doesn't want to go play first base. Bregman's hurt. Story is just taking money at this point. Jaron Duran's having a decent year, but he's not having the same caliber year that he had last year. So Donnie Rafaela might be one of the worst position players in baseball. But he's got a 1.9 more because he's a standout defensively. But I mean,
they keep doing that all the time. They did it with Jackie Bradley for a while. I mean, Bradley hit for a little bit, but he was there just for that defense for a while.
Jackie Bradley had that one year where he randomly hit like
Yeah.
278 with 28 home runs, and then like that. I honestly, it got to a point where I mean, he ripped the hearts out of Orioles fans a bunch of times. Like Trey
Mhm.
almost hit that walk off home run. The heat, his entire body clear. But yeah, the one season Bradley hit 267, 26 home runs, and drove in 87 in 2016, his lone All-Star season. And then another year he hit in 2020 he hit 283. But I mean, other than that, he was awful. He was
Yeah.
awful. But we're getting off the
And
rails
then,
here.
AJ makes another point. How the Rays doing this good? They did diddly squat this offseason. That's just what the Rays do. They rely
Yeah.
on good coaching. They rely on good position coaches, and they just with whatever they've got, they perfect it and they pitch, and that's just it. They do all the little things right, and they don't need the top talent. That's just what they do. They stay competitive every year because of that. Kevin Cash is damn good, and the guys that he brings in to coach with him are just damn good.
If the Orioles had a run like the Rays, where 2008 through 2025, they're in it every year. They make 2 World Series over that 17-18 season span, but they don't ever win one, but they get there a couple times, and it's never really close in the World Series, but they get there. Would you be happy as an Orioles fan? I can't imagine being happy being a Rays fan,
Well,
seeing
they don't spend
what
any
they do.
money, so you got to be damn happy they do what they do.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. But I don't know, man. It's watching them play well and be consistently competitive, but then get to the postseason and not stand a chance. And even when they get to the World Series, you know that that they're not going to win it. I don't know. Like on the one hand, I've never seen my team in a World Series. I've seen them twice since 2008. That would be awesome. But I don't know, to know that they're just never going to win it. I don't know if I could deal with that.
They just don't invest enough.
Yeah. But we're sitting here as Orioles fans talking about a team that I don't know that I could be a fan for this team because they don't
Well,
put
we
enough
at least
into it.
invest a little bit.
Yeah.
They don't do nothing. Their
Yeah.
one big investment that one time, I think, was Logan Morrison.
Logan Morrison.
Yeah, remember he came from the Marlins, had a semi-decent year, and they gave him a pretty decent contract, and then he went down there and didn't do anything at all.
Well, and then the one guy they gave a ton of money to turned out to be the biggest creep of all creeps.
Yeah.
Like, jeez.
And that's got to be one of their highest contracts of all time, like by a far margin, right?
Oh, it's definitely their highest contract. And what was his name again? Was it
Wander Franco?
Wander Franco. Yeah, Wander Franco. Today's show brought to you by County Sports Zone. Find every score from every high school sporting event all year long at countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Today's show is also brought to you by the latest edition of Press Box Print, which is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, starters Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, learn about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players that have played for him and much more. You can find the new issue all throughout the region, including at 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Zach, we have not done Take the Rake in about 3 weeks. So let's do Take the Rake today. I'm going to let you go ahead and pick first. Who you got?
Give me. I'm going to throw something at a dartboard here. Give me Cowser.
I knew you were going Cowser. I knew it.
He's probably going to strike out 93 times, but whatever.
Yeah, I think he was 1 for 11 with like 8 strikeouts and a home run. So
it would be my fault.
How do I? Who do I want to take? Who's gonna? I mean, Gunner or Holiday would be the token choice, but I feel like I want to try something different. Give me Ramon Arias.
I was gonna say him too. I couldn't decide which one of those.
And see, the thing is, Gunner's got to go on a hot streak. I mean, he's got 7 home runs and 15 RBIs, and it's June 1st. He missed 6 games to start the year.
Yeah.
The numbers that he's putting up are they're not good enough.
No.
They're not good enough. He's got to get the bat going. I feel like if I pick him, it's just going to cost him another week because anything I say positive about this team, like terrible crap happens. Literally me saying this team was the best team in baseball on June 18th last year is basically when they started their downward slide. So like you all can blame me for the Orioles being 16 games below 500. Or I'm sorry, like 23 games below 500 since June of last year. That's on me. But yeah, anything else you want to add in?
Paul's house.
Oh my gosh. Any comments you want to get to? I do want to PJ3P. Kershaw hitting 100 on pitches middle in. His timing is way off, in my opinion, because there's so much movement pre-pitch, and his outfield plays even worse. An MLB outfielder should not be running on his heels. Oh, you can't run on your heels. You have to run on the balls of your feet. Yeah.
Makes a big difference. Even just one step, and all of a sudden your whole damn head starts bouncing.
Couple balls that he didn't catch that had like 95% catch rates. Like
bad routes, man.
Yeah, it's and it makes you wonder what are these guys doing in practice?
Probably looking good.
Yeah, he probably looks really good in practice, and they put him out there in a game, and you wonder if the game has not slowed down for some of these dudes. I look at Jackson Holliday. We said that he was going to be. You and I both agreed he was going to be hitting leadoff for the Orioles by June. He spent most of May batting leadoff for the Orioles. He's the best pure hitter on the team.
Yeah.
Holliday's
and honestly, I don't even think his mechanics are perfect yet. I think he's still sifting through some things and trying to find the best balanced swing that he could find, and he's still the best hitter on the team.
I feel like he opens up that front shoulder so much. A lot of time, I think it makes him struggle to get to the outside pitch, and he still has a ton of power to the opposite field and gets his base hits to the opposite field, which is so strange to me because it feels counterintuitive to see him open that shoulder and still go the opposite way. Watching Kershaw try to hit a fastball, it's painful. Yeah. It's absolutely painful. But look, the Orioles have an opportunity in front of them. They've already caught the Athletics. They're playing a bunch of teams that are sitting directly in front of them coming up here the rest of this month. Hopefully even though it's just the White Sox, winning begets winning, positivity begets positivity. You rack up those 3 wins, 6 of 8, 7 of 10. Next thing you know, maybe they rattle off a few wins on this West Coast.
Keep going 7 and 3 every 10. You're going to be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. So, and St. Louis and Boston they're no slouches, so.
Who'd they play before that? I forget.
They had just gotten handled by the Twins, I think. Didn't they get swept
the
by
Red Sox?
Yeah, they played the Red Sox.
They lost the first 2 and then won the next 2.
And then they won the next 2.
Yeah.
But I think right before that, they got swept by Minnesota, didn't they?
They got swept by the Nationals and then lost 2 out of 3 from the Brewers. And then split and then lost the series and then 3 straight.
It sucks that we're like forgetting about the fact that legitimately they lost three series of 4 and the other one they split, and then they sweep the White Sox, and we're like, oh, they're turning it around, but it's what we have, You
got to build off something.
Yeah,
we can sit here all night and say, oh, it was only so and so, or it was only so and so, it was only so and so, and I get it. It was probably only the White Sox, but you know what? It's the first step that you have to take if you're going to make a change. And play who's on the schedule.
Yep. So, all right, that's going to do it for us here on the Batter On. Thanks to Zach Moore from Pigtown Sports for his weekly efforts for us and for the minor league report. We certainly appreciate that. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you, we don't have a show. Thank you to all of our loyal fans, viewers, listeners. Without you, we 100% do not have